Hello viewers, welcome to the first of our Did You Know series. From time to time we'll be doing Did You Know sessions that are meant just for laughs. However, this first session is an absolutely factual one and is dedicated to climate change. Extreme weather manifestations and rising sea levels aside, climate change and its underlying causes are responsible for many more effects that are hardly ever mentioned or discussed. Did you know, for instance, that as a direct consequence of climate change, the North Pole will end up in Europe? Just to be clear, we are talking here about the geographic North Pole and not the magnetic one. But how is this phenomenon occurring? As you probably know, the Earth is spinning around its rotational axis, which runs from the top end of the planet to the bottom. However, mankind is warming the planet so quickly that a lot of ice is suddenly melting. This has meant that there is a lot of extra water that's moving around the planet very quickly. This has upset the balance, the mass balance of Earth, and the planet is adjusting by changing the angle of its rotational axis. This means that the North Pole has been migrating eastwards towards continental Europe at an annual rate of 10 centimeters since 2000 and will eventually end up in Paris. This also means that in future you could be having a glass of French wine on the Champs-Élysées while at the same time sitting on the North Pole. Talking about wine, did you know that as a direct consequence of climate change, wine will become more expensive and taste like crap? The warmer climates may be benefiting a few wine-growing regions such as New Zealand, but for the most parts, the crops simply cannot keep up with the pace of change. Chile, France, Argentina, and South Africa all report declining wine production, severely declining wine production. While at the same time, a recent report actually states that the quality of wine is actually deteriorating. The matter was considered so serious by governments around the world that a measure to stop this was included in the Paris Agreement discussions back in 2015. Did you know that the 2,200 satellites currently orbiting the planet, together with the space junk around them, are beginning to accelerate? Why? Our increased CO2 means that we are releasing more heat into space. How does that happen? And why does it matter? Scientists explain that the carbon dioxide molecules that end up in the Earth's thermosphere collide with the oxygen molecules. This process leads to heat being released into space. This release means that the thermosphere cools down significantly, and cooler temperatures in the thermosphere means less drag. Reduced drag means the satellites and all the space debris around them begin to accelerate, which leads to higher potential for collision. This dynamic could have a tremendous impact on information technologies and communication technologies. For instance, this could disrupt cell phone services and television services. Can you imagine climate change being responsible for disrupting your favorite TV shows? Now that could be a problem. From fluffy and ethereal to curdled and menacing. Clouds paint the atmosphere with personality. Clouds also cover 70% of the atmosphere at any given time. But did you know that as a result of climate change, clouds are on the move? They are migrating to the poles, leaving the middle part where most humans live with very little cloud coverage. This means that we are in for more wacky weather. This could mean very hot days and really cold nights. Did you know that due to climate change, it will be harder for planes to take off and land? A new study has just revealed that the warmer air will require longer runways for aeroplanes to take off and land. This leaves the operators with a few decisions to make. Do they fly with lower numbers of passengers and or reduce fuel taken on board and fly only from short runways to short runways, which means short haul flights, or do they operate only from airports with long runways? Such decisions will be made or have to be made sooner rather than later. Many of you might have heard of polar bears covering thousands of kilometers traveling down south in search of food. They've even been cases where they've invaded human settlements. But have you ever heard of growlers and pizzlies? These are hybrids between polar bears and grizzly bears. As the hunting ground of polar bears gets decimated, the polar bears are migrating southwards. And as they do so, they are having babies with grizzly bears. So chances are, henceforth, you will see more and more grizzly bears. Did you know that the Arctic permafrost is melting 70 years ahead of schedule? A recent expedition to the Arctic permafrost revealed that the permafrost is melting at alarming rates, far sooner than scientists had predicted. The telltale signs come from a town called Arlet, Canada, which is the furthest settlement on the planet, which had heat waves with temperatures reaching 21 degrees Celsius, far above the region's average of 6 degrees Celsius. Did you know all this, viewers? The point is, climate change is real and is already impacting our planet in dramatic ways and some less dramatic ways. It is therefore time we transitioned to 100% clean energy. We at Environment Campus will do our bit to facilitate such a transition.